Hello, you guys. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. Hey, Woofy. Hey, Biscuits and Crazy. Hey, Seth. Hey, Mama Bear. Hey, Seawaz. Hey, Sandy Beach. Good to see you. Hey, Bieber. Hey, Rainbow Mom. Nikki Rex. Mel. Hey, Social Butterfly. Jessica. Melinda. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Hey, Single Mama 4. Curious Dreamer. SA. Let me turn the phone off. Kib Kitty, Christy Vaughn, Jamie, Leo Girl, hello. So how are you guys today? What are you up to? Hey, Hippie Chick. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Cheryl. Alex, can you explain what's going on? T&T, drunken tea. I just don't have the time to listen to 3-hour plus lives. I have no idea, Cheryl. I really, really don't. I don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, if you could, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Hey, Search and Rescue Canine Mom. Okay, yeah, so we did find who that actually was, and it is a person who has some similar features. We did a whole, like a whole show kind of showing step by step. And maybe if we have time at the end and you guys still want to look, let me know and I'll show you. I do have a lot of really interesting stuff for us to go through. So, oh, I'm sorry, Seth. I hope he's okay. I'm really sorry to hear that. About the woman that called into a drunken turkey to say her kids knew those in the house. No, I haven't heard that yet. And I don't subscribe. I'll tell you guys, you'll learn what creators will bring information that's factual and which ones won't. So I hate that because, you know, sometimes I want to tell you guys certain things, but also it's not fair. You guys just have to kind of, you know, see for yourself. Hey, Nana Banana. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much. Hey, Amy. Happy Sunday. Okay. So let's get right into it. We have lots to look at. We have really interesting articles. I got one from Kelly over at CDT that's, you know, somebody firsthand at the scene. We're going to look at some things like that. But I want to quickly go through just some of these screenshots I took and stuff like we always do. We'll go through the screenshots first, then the articles. I don't know if I grabbed any TikToks. I know that I meant to. So yes, let's do that. This is Dawn Wells stuff. I am sorry. There's the article, but we're going to get into that after a moment. Actually, I think where we're going to start is, so a viewer here that is, you know, I'm not going to say who it is, but it's somebody that we all love and appreciate so much. She wanted to send in her own personal story of what she's been through. And just because she relates to Dylan and she feels for her so much. And I really appreciated that. So that's true, Ava. That is so true. So I wanted to read that to you guys and make sure to give her some anonymous love when we go through it. Hey, Encyclopedia of True Crime and the Unknown. So let's do that, and then we'll get into all the things. She says, I have more than one incident of crime, either done in my presence or to me. But when I was 21, I was at a college party and I was raped in the bathroom. After this happened, he held a knife to my throat and threatened to kill me and my family. I believed him and was not planning on going to law enforcement. I ended up having to get medical attention and ended up filing a police report. When I filed and was asked to tell what happened, I was treated as if I was in the wrong. The police officer at one point asked if I had gotten too drunk and just regretted what had happened. Oh my God. I was asked this even with the obvious evidence of a violent crime being committed against me. I ended up dropping the charges. I lived in fear for several months as he stalked me and threatened my life. I feared for my life and ended up dropping out of college and moving to another state. The reason I tell my story is to explain from a victim's side. I am 37 now, and even after years of therapy, I live with survivor's guilt. Where did that go? I still wonder if he went on to rape and stalk other women or worse. I wonder if I would have just been brave enough to press charges if I would have prevented anything more with other potential victims. We have no idea what Dylan has gone through and even the full story of what she really thought. But I will tell people who choose to blame a victim that can prevent him or her from telling what happened or even coming forward. Please be mindful of that when speculating and wondering why she chose not to call 911 right away or how the course of events played out. I sound like a hillbilly right away. Thank you for sharing that, though. But so you see, I think that it brings up such a good point that if we're too critical of a person who, thank God she survived, you guys, and I have my own questions. You all know that. I really do. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And there's even something I'm going to show you today that you're going to be like, how did she hear nothing with this certain perspective? We have a lot of questions. Thank you, Amy, so much. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you guys. Hey, little bit. So, and also you don't always, you're scared to tell. So I don't know. I just appreciated this so much. Being too critical of her may prevent her on telling the full truth of what happened, what she knows, and that kind of stuff. So, thank you for sharing. This story is all too common. The same happened to me at a frat house and several others, but it's always our word against theirs. Good night, Seth. I hope your dad's okay. There you go, Benny. Teach your daughters the same. If they control you through fear, they've won and will keep on winning. But, I don't know. I just appreciate the person who sent that in, and we're going to keep going. I just wanted you guys to kind of hear from that perspective and, show her some love and stuff too. Okay, so then let's start looking at some of the things I found online. Let's see why I got this one. Oh, okay. I want to talk to you guys about this. This is quite interesting. We know that from the beginning, her dad saw most likely this photo here, Kaylee Gonsalves' dad, and he knew that she was not in her bed when this happened. He said that in interviews, but I did crop out the top, but I'm just going to read. So here's a pic that was taken a day or two after the crime. Was Kaylee in her bed that night? Then she went to Maddie's room. The sheets look pulled back, or did she fall asleep in Maddie's room? We know Murphy was in Kaylee's room. Her room is on top of this pic. So if you look, it does look like someone it doesn't look like someone laid in a bed all night, tossed and turned like that kind of sleeping in a bed, but it looks like somebody maybe just pulled down the covers a little bit and laid down and then ended up getting up. And I'm curious, do you guys think that is, she maybe possibly heard something and went into Maddie's room? I'm starting to believe that's maybe what happened, because I kind of, right now, my theory is that Maddie was the main target. I have a couple theories, but that's like my main one. And so maybe he went in there, to Maddie first. Woofy says, yes, I think that. I don't think we can assume she didn't hear anything. She may have heard, but was terrified. Dylan, yes, I agree. I thought maybe she heard something in Maddie's room, and that's why Murphy was in her room. It's really interesting. And I wonder if he was in a crate. I can't remember. The affidavit did it say that, or am I making that up? I think Maddie was the target as well. I believe Maddie was the main target as well. I think Kaylee started in her own room with Murphy, and you agree about Maddie. Papa Rogers came out with a similar theory. Oh, interesting. Maybe Kaylee was actually in her room and heard Maddie being attacked and then went to check in on her, and that's when she got attacked. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's almost how it looks. Oh, you guys, pray for Seth's mom, please. If anybody in here prays. I don't remember. Crate mentioned, hey, Callie. Okay, I don't know. I can't, I'm really annoyed because usually I keep it pulled up and I don't know what I did with it. So let me see if I can grab it really quick. Not that it's that important, but okay, we have it here. But still, just to know for certain. So there was a dog in the room when police initially responded. The dog belonged to Kaylee and Jack. So no, it doesn't say anything about a crate. So I'm curious if he was just in the room loose and she shut the door behind her. I don't know. Not like I said, not that it truly matters a ton. 10K he walks. Interesting. We're going to look at some stuff that will, like his attorney. He's been doing many interviews. His attorney from Pennsylvania that he had during his extradition. He's done many interviews talking about the evidence and that kind of stuff. We're going to watch some of that. Okay, so let's go back to this. I've always thought that this house, like it was so lit up on this side over by the sliding glass doors. Because, you know, we have sliding glass door on Kaylee's room, but also right downstairs. But if you look, this window, which I guess this would have been Dylan's room where my mouse is, that's, I think, this is her room for certain, but on the end of the house. I just don't know if that's a window in between the kitchen and her room or in the kitchen. I know that this window's in the kitchen. It's just such a well-lit area. You would think somebody would enter maybe off to the side where it's a little darker, but I don't know. Okay, so next, I just wanted to share this for a second with you guys. This is Xana's urn and all of her flowers and stuff. Yeah, very, very beautiful girl. Okay, biscuits and crazy, have a yummy dinner. That's over the sink, pretty sure. See, I think BK was stalking by just watching. A lot could be seen. Thank you, Wilhelm. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a ton. I know, it's sad. It's really, really sad to see. Hey, Broken Justice. How are you? Hardly see you over here anymore, girl. Okay. Now, trigger warning. This is simply to show you it, the size of this knife. I was shocked when I saw this. This is not a small knife. So someone who owns one was showing, basically it goes from my hip to my knee in the sheath. Let me show you though, like this. So it's quite a large knife. There it is, like up against a man for size. It's just so basically she said her post, actually, let's read it. Because I just wanted to post a picture of the K-bar in comparison to the body so people can get an idea of how deadly and forceful this weapon actually is. In sheath, it sets from my pelvis to my knee, which that just kind of shocked me. Hey, Connor. I think cops have tons of evidence. They only had to show the minimum in affidavit. I agree, hippie chick. I think they have a lot more. I mean, what if they had his blood? We don't know. I don't think they do, but they very well could. And they wouldn't necessarily put it in the affidavit. They're not going to put all of their evidence, their biggest, yeah. She is so pretty. I'm going to show you guys a video of like all the kids dancing and having fun. Like Ethan, you get to see his personality a little bit. It's really sweet. Now this is really interesting. So somebody posted and they're like, Amanda Kohberger has a TikTok and Papa Roger is one of her followers. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Which I wonder who this Melissa Kohberger is. Is that the other sister? I can't remember her name. because we've heard a lot of, I think Amanda's been more in the forefront. And so anyways, I'm like, okay, I want to go see if this is true for myself. It could have happened after. So I do a screen recording. I'm going to show you guys. Let's see. And these are just clips from like the screen recording. I was zooming in on the, where the heck is it? It probably went through last. Here it is. So I'm scrolling through her followers until, yes, there is a Papa Roger account following her. And this could have happened, like I said, after, it could have happened last week. We don't know. But then I zoom in just to get like the picture of him. And then I zoom in on her main profile picture just so we can get see it a little bit bigger. Her following list is hidden. She does have videos because she has 675 likes, but her videos are private. So she looks like him, I think. I think she looks like Bryan, in my opinion, but hey, Leo girl. I feel like they have DNA from his blood, but didn't reveal that. What do you think about 5 days for the discovery hearing? Nikki, I heard that okay, so I heard them estimating how long this pre-trial, the hearing is. That's in 6 months. I don't want to get it wrong. Preliminary hearing, pre-trial. I don't know. Anyways, some analysts and like professionals are saying that it could be 5 to 6 weeks. Hey, positive vibes. I'll be on less tomorrow for my own health. It's been a fun adventure. Oh, hey, Eris. I hope you come back and visit us all the time. Melissa and Amanda. Okay, thank you, guys. I think there's something really messed up with the whole family. Hey, crazy mama. Good to see you. Kim, no, I don't think so. The way that they busted in their house, it was meant to be shocking and dramatic, I wonder during the 12 times he was around their house, how long he was there each time. I know once they tell us an hour, but I don't know about all of them. Okay, so let's go back to our screenshots. Let's see. I thought this was funny. Someone put Papa Roger's hat on Bryan. But it does like look like that meme or like the cartoon character icon that he was using. So that knife is huge. Death by Chocolate. It's really scary to see it like that. That's the hearing I meant. They scheduled it for 5 days, and I'm hearing that's a very long time. So Chad and Lori's was 2 days, and there was so much information. So 5 days, I agree. That's quite a long one. But yeah, I've seen other people say that it could take weeks. So I think that might be in one of the videos I'm showing you. 7 inches. Kim, I know. Seeing it like that, it just puts it into perspective. 420. Hold on. Okay. I'm outside in the cold, so that will make your nose run even more. So I had to pause for a second. Tell them to try to take Bryan and do an age app and see what it would look like. Maybe just Bryan aged on an app. It's possible. I don't know about that, about his dad. I've been meaning to do like a deep dive into him and haven't, but we will do that. Let's see what this was. I save everything for a reason. Oh, okay. So I have not watched the family's interview yet with Chronicles of Olivia. I know that it's been super successful. It's supposed to be very, very good. I just haven't had the time. I also haven't watched Dateline or 2020. I'll tell you guys something. Last night, Bentley had a fever. Hey, KK May. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that, like I said, I know once he was there for like an hour, but I would like to know that too. Last night, Bentley, he's been a little bit sick again. I think he caught what his brother had, and he had a fever, and he was asleep on the couch, and I was laying on the other side of the couch, like just on my phone. I don't know what I was doing. And all of a sudden he wakes up and he's like screaming, hallucinating, like he was hallucinating, completely delusional, said somebody was in the house. He was having like a nightmare, I guess, from his fever. It scared me so bad. He grabbed onto me and held me so tight. He was honestly scared to death. And it just shook me up so bad. Like, it took me a really long time to get back to myself. But yeah, so there's just been a lot going on. I need to watch Dateline 2020, and I didn't watch the 48 Hours either, or this interview. But so for those of you guys who are like, kind of busy like that and haven't got to watch it, this person kind of summarized it. So I thought we'll read through some of this. I watched a video of a guy that spent many years in prison, and he follows this case. He stated that BK probably cut his own face with a razor for attention. Huh, that's interesting. It is horrifying, Social Butterfly. Thank you, Crazy Mama. Said it was really good. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it was awful. It was freaking terrifying. Okay. So these are things we learned from the interview with the Gonsalves family. Kaylee's parents didn't get confirmation for hours and hours after the fact, which just breaks my heart. They got a call from a niece who heard from people there and initially thought they had a party where there was a shooting. They're calling, and no one will tell them anything until finally sheriffs show up at their door later that day. 12 hours. Wow, before her family knew for sure. So they must have called around 4. This is like my worst nightmare. Okay, so the same private driver, an individual that they knew, took them both to and from the bar that night. He's also the one that told the family about the grub truck stream. Wow, that's kind of interesting. That is sad, Hootie. It's awful. He is Rainbow Mom. He woke up just completely normal. I mean, no fever, stuffy nose, but not even sick anymore. I mean, I don't know. It was awful. Shay, no, it's not just you. I think they sometimes look black and sometimes they look blue. Okay. Maddie and Kaylee did try to join the same sorority. Kaylee got in, but Maddie did not. So they joined separate sororities, both make new friends, and spent a couple years without hanging out as much as they always had. This was hard for them, but they stayed close still. They always still came home together and went on vacations together. They both moved out of their sorority houses a couple years ago. Kaylee moved into an apartment and Maddie moved into that house. Kaylee moved in with Maddie in June. Kaylee was a door locker, so they wonder about the door being unlocked. I've thought about that so many times. I've thought, was the door unlocked? I know that a lot of people knew the code and stuff like that, but also I know careless college kids would leave it unlocked, So the family investigated Jack themselves. They checked him for scratches and bruises. They checked his shoes, his car, his hands. They had to. They felt bad, but they trusted him. They love him, and they know he had nothing but love for Kaylee. He came to them immediately and even slept on their couch for 3 nights. He did not want to leave them. Oh, my gosh. They read her text to Jack. She was just really looking for any excuse to get him to pick up the phone. She wanted him to come over. They still talked every day. They were at the bar with him that night. She was trying to talk him into going to another bar or somewhere else with her that night, but he had worked all day and was tired. He left and went home. They think maybe things could have been different if they had gone. Oh my God, I bet that eats him alive, you guys. Wow. They checked his shoes, his car, his hands. Can you imagine? Holy. Hey, Punksy. Okay. We're going to keep going because, like I said, we have so much to look at. I wasn't live yesterday about this case, so many things were piling up. And then another one that some things are starting to come together for Summer Wells. Her family's becoming active again on social media, which is what I've wanted all along. I want her name to be out there, her story to be told, and it had kind of fizzled off. So if you guys have watched any of that case here soon, we're going to do something for Summer. The family found out what Maddie told Adam. It was about Kaylee trying to get back with Jack. Wow. This all came from the family in their interview. I suggest you watch it if you haven't on YouTube at Chronicles of Olivia. I think the most important thing we get from this interview is a real insight into who Kaylee was. Her family speaks about her as a person, tells stories about her, and I didn't want to recap that part because it's best to hear it from them. So if in my thumbnail, I know it was I got it from a Facebook group, and it has a TikTok thing in it, but there's a photo of Maddie and Kaylee, and they're like looking at each other smiling. Oh my God, you guys, that is like one of the best pictures. I'm actually going to go ahead and send it to this little message chat so that you guys can see it as well, if you haven't seen it. Okay, so it just came through. Let's just look at it just for a second. It's this one here. Oh my God, I love the way they're looking at each other. And Kaylee looks a lot like Olivia and her mom here, but it's like just the way they look at each other, their body language, they truly did love each other so much. Lauren said, I watched it. It was really good. You understand her dad so much. Interesting. I can't wait to watch it. Heather, they were so beautiful. And not only that, they were good kids. I mean, yeah, that's Kaylee on the left. Maddie does look just like her mom. I would say, Lauren, that Kaylee's family maybe has some and not all. I'm not sure, though. But that's kind of what I would think. But I don't know. Okay, let's keep going and look at some more of this stuff. This was just an image that was in the Facebook group, but it made me look at Dylan's, what happened with Dylan a little bit differently, because I don't know. I can't imagine I don't know. The walls are so thin, and he was literally right there. I mean, there's that bathroom in between, but it's all right there. Even Xana, we think the attack may have started in the kitchen, correct? We know there has been photos of what could be blood, and professionals like Duty Ron says that it is. We don't know for sure. We've seen the plant that had dirt around it, which could have happened then, or maybe not. We've seen the Jack in the Box bag on the counter. But if you think that it's possible that the attack started outside of the bedroom, at that point, it's really hard to, like I said, I have a lot of questions too. I do believe Dylan's innocent. I don't believe she needs to be attacked, but wow. And, I think that kids need to be taught. I don't know. Something's got to change. Something's got to give, because and I get if she's in shock, that's why she didn't call, but I don't know. Maybe there's a way to make it safer for kids to go off to college, because this is scary. It's scary as a parent, you guys. Hey, Unique Trauma. She wasn't part of the mission. I don't believe he saw her. I really don't. I think that she could, if she peeks out her door right here, as he comes around right here, they're in the angle where she could see him perfectly. But in the dark, I don't know that he could see her. Now, we do know, wasn't there like a sign in the living room that was lit up, that good vibes or whatever? So I don't know how much that would have lit up the room. That's kind of something to keep in mind, but okay. This is just a theory, but it's such an interesting point. I have to bring it to you and then show you this little picture with it. Theory: Bryan had eyes and or ears on the property in some way, probably via a camera in the nearby wooded forest by Maddie's bedroom. Now, this is just a theory. Again, you guys, I just want to make that really clear, okay? So everyone is back at the house by 2 a.m. At 2:47, his cell doesn't ping the network. We know the last phone calls to Jack were at 2:52 and 2:53. His car seen getting into a highway that goes to Moscow. The first reference to his car being in Moscow was at 3:26, King Road by 3:29. I think he knew they were all asleep because he was remotely watching them. The fact their calls were the last ones is speculating because they were in bed, lights off, starting to go to sleep. Then when he arrived, the camera catches multiple passes. Since his phone was off, he drove back by the woods to see if the lights were still out. and he grabbed his camera then so it wouldn't be found by law enforcement after. It would line up to how they suspected targeting, but weren't sure if it was a particular person. This is why I found it so interesting. Otherwise, why did he decide to leave at that exact particular time? The timing, you know? It is like he left once they were in bed. It's interesting. Those calls to Jack, 252, 253, first reference to his car being in Moscow, 326, or, it's just a coincidence. But a lot of people have speculated about cameras in the back. I've heard many times there were cameras in the back. I've heard there were cameras for another reason, something to do with the school. But that's been going on, so it'll be interesting to see when things shake out. I just thought this was a good viewpoint to see. I think that Nancy Grace actually shared this particular photo, and some people have wondered, did he enter on the deck? Okay, let's keep going because this article I want to show you guys has some new information that we have not seen anywhere. And Kelly is the one who I saw talking about it, and I want to get to it. Now, that's not why I have this. This here is just someone's post where they're sharing about the apartment complex that Bryan lived in. So this apartment complex has a laundry room where you share with other people. So that, kind of leads you to believe, what did he do with his clothes? Surely to God, he didn't wash them in this laundromat area with the other people. I believe he most likely threw them out at that, threw them somewhere. And we know that he took the long way home. We know he was in some weird places where he could have done something like that, but I'm not a techie, but with his undergraduate in cloud-based forensics, I wonder if he somehow knew they were settling down for the evening by cloning their phone or something similar. Ava, I would not be surprised. That's pretty scary, the cloud-based forensic stuff. That's pretty scary. Remember that talk? Yes, that was going on about the tripod behind 1122. Yes, I do. That was knocked over, supposedly seen someone running from the house and running back in or whatever, that kind of thing. So, but anyways, the washing machines, that shows me that he most likely washed his clothes or didn't wash his clothes. He probably threw them out. Okay, so there's a couple articles. I know that we have to watch what his public defender said. That's something I've got to show you guys. All the others are just like experts and stuff, except for this article. Now, this article, someone who was there, a first responder, has spoken with this publication. So let's see. That is a good photo that they made there, the graphics. This is our most popular article of the month. All you have to do is enter your email address. Rip your heart out and die at gmail.com. Holy moly, all the seabirds and ducks and geese. They sound so close, don't they? Okay. So give me just 1 second, and I'm going to read some of this to you guys. I'm not going to stop for a minute because it's really good, but I do want to find my tissues first. Okay. Hey, Rescue Mom. Hey, TF. I know the birds, they're really pretty. There's a lake near me where the swans come to when it gets wintertime, like they migrate here. And the whole entire lake is covered with nothing but swans, like around this time of year. Male O, that's the interesting part. I'm actually not quite sure because the gag order is specifically related to the courtroom. I don't know. I'm not quite sure about that. Okay, so suppose you wanted to kill someone. That would be easy. There are lots of ways. But suppose you wanted to kill 4 people all in the same house, all within moments of one another, and you chose to use a knife. That could help eliminate the noise, but it would require skill, strength, and endurance. Murder is hard work, especially if people fight back. Then there's a really big obstacle. You want to get away with it. You're determined to kill 4 people living in a single home in the still of the night and then disappear without leaving a clue to your identity. Now, that's a more difficult challenge, but you did it. You have everybody stumped. It's the perfect crime. That's the real life mystery that had enshrouded the pretty northern Idaho college town of Moscow. It had been a football Saturday in mid-November, the last home game of 2022 season. The Vandals, the Kibbe Dome packed more than 7,600 fans. And despite the disappointing loss, Saturday night was still party night for a college celebrated in knowledgeable polls as the best party school in the state. Even though it was a dry campus, that's weird. The stately row of wet frats, as they're known on the U of I campus, twisting along Nez Perce Drive, was crowded with the brothers and their dates, high-spirited assemblies fueled by blaring music, prospects of mischief, and rivers of alcohol. Downtown Main Street was hopping to. The pool tables at Mingles and the metal sheath bar at the Corner Club were shoulder to shoulder with students and townies, filling the brisk autumn night with the keen of cheery, rowdy late-night fun. And then in the heavy quiet of the new Sunday morning, 4 young corpses, all students, all friends, were found. God, the way they wrote this, were found in their beds in a pale clapboard house, little more than a stone's throw away from the heart of the university campus. There was so much blood it had seeped through the wooden floors and run down the building's gray concrete foundation in jagged red rivulets. It wouldn't be until nearly 7 weeks later when an early morning raid by a police SWAT team thousands of miles away from the scene of the crime finally arrested a suspect. Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old doctoral candidate in the Criminal Justice Department at Washington State University, was pulled from his parents' home in the rural Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. Yet even with the arrest, mysteries remain. Neither reasons nor motives have been revealed that would explain the horror that ended 4 lives. And in the unhealed aftermath, there remains an armory of fears. 25,000 people in a once seemingly bucolic town nestled in the rolling, snow-swept Idaho hills, still alert with suspicions. Neighbors seared by the mystery of 4 perplexing deaths, victims who have left them victimized too. Later, when it became necessary to fix blame for the initial confusion over the gravity of this situation, fingers in the Moscow Police Department pointed to the dispatcher. But the truth is, the dispatcher was simply following procedure. All the town's 911 calls are routinely routed to Pullman, about 10 miles west in Washington state, where they're handled by the civilian employees of a municipal agency called Whitcomb 911. The calls come in from the local Whitman and Atherton counties, as well as the city of Moscow, 2 universities with a total of about 42,000 students, and 70 additional municipal and county agencies. And the dispatch crews, local newspapers report, are severely understaffed. Okay, let's continue though. Things get worse on football weekends. It was 11:58 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, 2022, when the notification of an unconscious person at a residence on 1122 King Road, Moscow, was passed on to Sergeant Shane Gunderson. Gunderson, who on that day was midway through a 12-hour shift that had started at 6 a.m., was running the operations division at the sparkling Modernistic. It had opened barely 11 months earlier. Southview Avenue Police Headquarters. There is Shane Gunderson. He is one of the first at the scene. Prior to that moment, he'd tell people his tour had been long and slow. A languid weekend morning, punctuated by the chimes of the town's many church bells, tolling solemnly in the wind. In fact, he spent a good deal of that desk-bound Sunday mulling something other than police business. Okay. I'm going to skip through just a little bit of this. When the 911 call came in, Gunderson had a corporal and 2 other officers on duty to assist with patrol. He could have left the response to them. He'd tell people with a hint of embarrassment, had no intimation of something out of the ordinary. That morning, he was simply eager to break the monotony. And as always, he felt strongly it was important for him to get out on the street where people could see him. He swiftly decided he'd go to the scene too with his officers. It was a quick trip. The roads leading into the university neighborhood that Sunday were as empty as the classrooms. And as soon as Gunderson's black and white cruiser pulled up behind the neat row of cars parked in the driveway of the austere cantilevered house on King Road, he immediately knew something was very wrong. It was the noise. There wasn't any, just an eerie, unnatural silence. A cluster of young people, university students presumably, were milling outside the front door of 1122 like gulls on a beach, and yet they were exceptionally quiet. They weren't merely subdued, they seemed stunned, as if drained by a deep and intense shock. When the three mystified officers approached the front door, someone in the crowd, it would later be shared, muttered a single word. A single plaintive word. Dead. Oh my God, you guys. So there was a group of people gathering at the front door. Hey, LFT. Okay. Sorry, you guys, I'm not in the comments while I'm reading, but so still Gunderson would confess to others he was unprepared for the strong smell of blood that rose up his nostrils the moment he walked inside. The coroner, who had once been an emergency room nurse in an earlier stage of her life, would describe the scene in press interviews as chaos and lots of blood. Few others would even attempt to put into words what they saw. There are moments cops will tell you that are too profound, too unnerving to be experienced in the present. All you can do is move forward. There will be time later to try to make sense of it. Procedure takes precedence. It allows a protective membrane to be stretched between the real and the too real. All other thoughts, all other feelings become extraneous. So basically, in that moment, you just keep doing your job. Don't try to think about how awful it is, and you put the pieces together after you get your job done. So Gunderson and his two officers, largely mute, almost robotic in their movements, now stepped carefully across the blood-streaked wooden floor and proceeded to inspect the crime scene. Wedged against the hill, the house rose up 3 distinct levels from a platform base like an ancient Persian ziggurat. The officers set out to inspect each floor. They moved cautiously, not knowing what they'd find, yet, of course, by now they knew. The first floor, nevertheless, was a surprise. There were 2 bedrooms, and when they anxiously entered each one, there were no signs of anything out of the ordinary. Later, they would learn the 2 students' occupants. I don't know why they kept Dylan on the first floor there, but it says it was an explanation that made no sense. It said they apparently slept through the carnage. Well, it doesn't say they're occupants of the first floor, but it definitely insinuates it. That says their explanation made no sense unless one's life had been informed by the experience of being a college student who curled up in bed after a long night of drinking. However, as the staggering day wore on, Mortensen would reveal more about what had happened that night. She told authorities she heard crying, opened her bedroom door, and saw a man in black clothes and a mask walking past her, frozen and in shock. She stood immobile as he headed towards a sliding glass door at the back of the house, and then, inexplicably, she returned to her room and locked her door until the morning. But in the daylight, things turned frantic. Mortensen and Funk first stirred from their beds sometime after 11. They found it impossible to rouse their roommates and called friends for assistance. And then, in the torrents of confusion after the friends had arrived, one of their cell phones was used to make the agitated 911 call that resulted in the unconscious person message which was relayed to Gunderson. The trio of officers, meanwhile, proceeded with a haste to the second floor. Trigger warning. They opened the bedroom door to find 2 dead bodies, a male and a female. The pair was gruesomely drenched in blood, yet both their good-looking faces had oddly been preserved like masks. Even at that probing moment, it was difficult. One of the young officers would later nearly wail to look at the 20-year-old pair, Xana Kernodle, a grave, sad-eyed beauty who was a Pi Beta Phi, and her happy-go-lucky, tousle-haired Sigma Chi boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, a triplet from Conway, whose surviving brother and sister also attend the university, and not consider the glow of the once rich promise that had been so viciously extinguished. We're going to take a break so I can look at your comments, and then we're going to keep going. Hey, Nadie. Good to see you, beauty. Oh, Kelly's in here. Yeah. Kelly, I just told them that you're the one who showed this article, which, wow, do find it interesting, but yeah. This one will haunt the first responders for years to come. I believe that. Well, shit, I'm muted the whole time while I'm reading this. But this person certainly took creative writing. I'm going to read it one more time. So, on the third floor, things got, if possible, worse. In one bedroom, lying in a single bed, were two inert women, Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonsalves. They might have been sisters, so similar were the 21-year-old's pretty Barbie doll-like sculpted features, their long cascades of thick, streaked blonde hair falling down to their narrow shoulders. Yet in death, there was one gruesome difference. Kaylee, it would be reported, had been hacked with a particular ferocity. It was as if her wild assailant, or was it assailants, had been intent on gouging out chunks of her flesh. Large punctures was how the lacerations had been described. Maddie's wounds, while no less fatal, appeared less feral, more measured, at least in comparison. I just read that and said, they took creative writing. You have gone incognito on us. I'm so sorry. Perhaps Alex is in deep thought. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's keep going. I really love you guys. You really do just like bring so much like life and love into my life. I love you guys. Yeah, they took creative writing for sure, said a Barbie doll. Across the narrow hallway was one final door. The officers pulled it open, and at last they discovered a sign of life. A fluffy caramel-colored dog. It was Murphy, Kaylee's frisky labradoodle. He was unharmed, not marred by even a speck of blood. A small consolation, and barely one at that, for all they had seen and were only beginning to process. Says a major case, and it was still the same long day of the frenzied moments and then hours that followed on that seemingly interminable Sunday. There was only so much that can be authoritatively reported. Evan Gunderson and his team lost track of all their efforts in the hectic swell of events, yet this much is undisputed. Gunderson quickly called his boss, Captain Roger Lanier, the head of the 24-officer operations division. He found him, not unexpectedly for a Sunday, sitting down to lunch with his family. Lanier was a veteran cop who had more than 20 years on the force, before in Lewiston, before having been lured 6 years earlier to Moscow with a captain's rank. But Gunderson's report, so he said he'd seen it all in his day. You know, this cop had seen everything. But Gunderson's report left him unnerved. It took me a second, he recalled, a sharp edge, even weeks later to the memory. I really had to think about what I had just heard. 4 murders in Moscow, Idaho? Was so out of character. But quickly, Lanier's professionalism took control. He had 1,000 questions, and yet he knew the only hope of finding answers would be to follow the previously established protocols. Dutifully, he gave the orders to set up the perimeters of the crime scene, to bring in forensic team, and to summon the coroner. It was standard in a major case, and if 4 homicides wasn't a major case, what is? He also alerted Idaho State Police. This is him. Moscow was the responsibility of the state's District 2 Detective Office in Lewiston. Says, but his next call was harder. The university had to be informed. It was not just that 4 students had been brutally murdered in an off-campus home, but there was no way of knowing whether the killer or killers planned to strike again. At 2:07 p.m., a little over 2 hours after the 3 cops had entered the blood-soaked house, a University Office of Public Safety and Security sent a vandal alert email to the students and faculty. It said, quote, Moscow PD investigating a homicide on King Road near campus. Suspect is not known at this time. Stay away from the area and shelter in place. A shelter-in-place order requires people to take refuge in a room with no or few windows. Let's see. The chief had been getting death threats. Wow. Well, people really thought they didn't know what they were doing. Do you remember? I mean, even Kaylee's dad, and I don't blame him at all. He comes out and he says, like, on national TV, these guys aren't the ones. Like, they don't have that much experience and we need better. And the whole time, they really knew who it was since the end of November. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Truth Seeker. Could you imagine if the sister was the other suspect? Hey, Mallory. How are you? Hey, Tiffany. Good to see you guys. Okay. We're going to kind of go through this a little quicker because I really want you guys to see the guy who represented him. He's done several interviews and I have a couple, but there's one in particular with the local news there that I want to look at with you guys. So, let's see. He said this left him emotionally drained. They talk about Fry in the past and that kind of stuff. So that's basically it. I just wanted to kind of talk about that first initial part when they show up at the scene. Number 1, they say that the kids are right outside the front door. Okay. And then number 2, just a few of those things. The mentioning of their faces being fun. I think that's kind of interesting as well because we did hear and we know that Xana had quite a fight with the intruder. Okay, so we are going to stop that one there. Let me get back to, I'm going to find the next one I wanted to show you guys. I really had a very, very cute video that someone had made. Sorry, my neighbor just started their car. Of like all the kids and like Ethan's like dancing and being silly. And it was just really sweet, but I don't know where it is I put that one. So we're going to go here now. So this is Bryan's public defender from Pennsylvania. Okay. Let me exit out of that. Actually, I'm going to check on you guys before we read through. Yeah, Xana fought back too, Mallory. We do know that Kaylee's dad mentioned it was a hell of a fight down there, talking about with Xana. And there are a few things that actually point towards her fighting back, but we also heard that she had defensive wounds. I know, Woofy, it's loud. I also want to be clear. What all those first responders saw is beyond awful. I feel for every single one of them. Me too. Okay, so this is the guy that represented Bryan in Pennsylvania. He thinks that they don't have much evidence. I find this to be so interesting. Now, do you remember when Bryan, he also came out and said this, and I don't know if it's this one or another one. So when Bryan was about to be extradited, do you remember he puts out the statement that says, like, I'm eager to be exonerated? The defense attorney says that Bryan actually, that was his idea. He's the one who chose those words. The defense attorney wanted him to put out a statement. He knew there was a lot of attention on this and that kind of stuff. But, yeah, let me see. Okay. Bryan Kohberger's PA public defender opens up about what happened in the Poconos.
RCN is a sound broadband. With up to 1,200 megabit speed, stream better, game harder, faster than ever. Get 300 meg internet for $21.99 a month for 12 months, plus 1 month free. We are Astound Broadband.
You're hearing from the Pennsylvania public defender who represented the Monroe County man who was accused of killing those 4 Idaho college students.
69 News reporter Priscilla Ligori spoke to him about the moment he learned the Bryan Kohberger case had landed in his lap.
I actually hung up on my office one time because I did not believe that they were telling me the truth.
Monroe County Chief Public Defender Jason Labar was just as shocked as everyone else. The Idaho quadruple murder suspect was arrested in the Poconos. His office called back, and over the next 5 days, he spent 4 hours talking with Bryan Kohberger.
The first thing I said to him was, Bryan, don't tell me anything about the case. I don't want to know any of the facts and circumstances.
That's because Labar was only representing Kohberger during the extradition process.
Sorry, I was muted. I just wanted to say we will also read the article because oftentimes on cable news, they only have a limited amount of time. So they will just put clips of the interview, and then in the article, they will, kind of expand on that. Dropped my cigarette. Bentley came out here screaming. I'm a mess, y'all.
I'm obviously informing Mr. Kohberger. These are the allegations only. You're presumed innocent until proven otherwise, and that's the most important thing because you don't want to be judged in a court of public opinion, even though you're going to be.
He described Kohberger as calm and educated. Labar is no longer involved now that the 28-year-old is back in Latah County. As for that affidavit,
it certainly was a strong circumstantial case, but I believe individually taken, the evidence could be attacked.
Though he admitted he couldn't answer why Kohberger's DNA would be on the knife sheath if he wasn't involved.
Does mental illness and mental awareness play a role in what happened here and what's going to happen moving forward?
I haven't seen any evidence that I believe that Mr. Kohberger had any type of mental illness or disease.
And I do want to say, a lot of people have run with these old the visual snow and all that kind of stuff and thought, did he plan this? Did he do it on purpose? Idaho doesn't have, there's no insanity defense. So that just makes no sense.
Disease or defect.
Locals have described Kohberger's family to us as nice and normal. Labar says they pray every day.
They believe in the process, but are you able to say if his family thinks he's guilty or not?
I actually told them not to comment on it, and they'll let it play out, unfold.
Victims' families have said they'd be in court throughout this whole process. Labar says Kohberger's family.
So he gave the family advice not to comment on it? That's kind of interesting. Okay, so let's look at the article for a second because I do know you guys said it was cutting up. This way we can know for certain. So it says, oh my God, that car is so loud. How annoying. Can you just not drive right now? Actually hung up on my office one time because I did not believe they were telling the truth about it being, Bryan Kohberger, the case that he had. He was just as shocked as everyone else when the quadruple Idaho murder suspect was arrested in the Poconos. The first thing I said to him was, Bryan, don't tell me anything about the case. I don't want to know any of the facts and circumstances. Look at those Crocs, 7-Eleven Crocs. I'm obviously informing Mr. Kohberger these are the allegations only. You're presumed innocent until proven otherwise, and that's the most important thing because you don't want to be judged in a court of public opinion, even though you're going to be. He described Kohberger as calm and educated. He's no longer involved. He said that the affidavit had certainly strong circumstantial evidence, but individually it could be attacked. Although admitted he couldn't answer why Kohberger's DNA would be on the knife sheath. He said, we've talked to people who went to Pleasant Valley with Bryan and or his sisters. We've talked with people who went to Northampton Community College and DeSales with him. And everyone who grew up with him, in a sense, says he came from a very nice, normal family. How are they doing? That was the commenter, or the reporter actually. And he says they understand the situation that he's alleged to have committed these murders, and they understand that there's 4 families suffering loss of their loved ones. They pray every day. It's very difficult in them. They believe, so the reporter says they believe in the process, but are you able to say if his family thinks he's guilty or not? And he says, I told them not to comment on it. You know, let it play out and unfold in court. The family does plan to attend the hearing in June, where more evidence is expected to be presented. And that is that. Now, this isn't his only interview. He's done quite a few of them. Let me see. Oh, this was kind of interesting, you guys. Let's go here. So, criminology professor, this is the local news there. Sorry, you guys. Okay. Criminology professor. Bryan Kohberger's education wouldn't have helped him commit the murders. Also, I'm going to share with you guys another interview with that lawyer from Law and Crime. I just don't think we have time to go through everything. So I'll just give you the link and another link to my friend Leave It to Beaver's video you got to check out. But, okay. While the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students was a PhD student studying criminology, experts said it did not contribute to the crime. The factors surrounding this case have been extremely unusual, said Dr. Casey Jordan, an attorney and criminology professor at Western Connecticut University. We asked Jordan if Kohberger studying criminology can tell us anything about him or the case. She said, as a criminologist, believe me, I was really shocked but not really surprised to find out that the accused was doing a PhD in criminology, Jordan said. Dr. Jordan has been teaching the subject for 35 years. I can guarantee you that nothing he learned in these classes helped him if indeed he did factually commit these crimes, or to try to get away with it, Jordan said. Jordan said criminology classes often delve into the psyche of an offender, topics Kohberger likely had in his undergrad studies at DeSales. The truth is, it wasn't his higher education that may have contributed to his thought process. We believe the thought process was already there. If indeed, again, he is guilty of what he did was go into the field of criminal justice and criminology as more of a symptom of his preoccupation, perhaps an obsession with true crime, and that he felt comfortable studying this because it appealed to him. But certainly his studies did not contribute to the crimes of which he is accused, Jordan said. A few of the country's most high-profile killers have a similar educational background as Kohberger. However, Jordan said that doesn't equate to a pattern. We do have several examples of people with higher education degrees, including BTK, who had a degree in criminal justice, Golden State Killer, who had a degree in criminal justice. It's not unheard of, but let's agree it's extremely rare that people major in criminal justice then go on to commit heinous murders, Dr. Jordan said. Kohberger maintains his innocence and that kind of thing, and that's it. You guys know who that is. I think that's the lady that's always on Deadly Women. There are 2 Dr. Phil episodes. There was the one after, and I think there was one before. Rainbow Mom. So it is on, okay, Dateline's on Peacock, 2020's on Hulu, and then 48 Hours, I think, is on YouTube. Hey, Melissa Jade, don't worry. There will be charities set up and book deals for the families. You'll have plenty of opportunity to donate your money to them. Okay. We're going to keep going. Let's see what I was going to play next or look at next. Oh, I just want to show you guys this because this is good education for Idaho courts. And a lot of people have asked about this, and I've tried to kind of tell you guys about Lori Vallow, but just quickly. So why is, we don't want the daggone weather now. Why Bryan Kohberger insanity plea is not possible in Idaho courts. So I went into complete shock, absolute complete shock. I couldn't cry. I couldn't think. Christy Gonsalves said on the TV show Dateline this past week. The parents of Kaylee recounted to Dateline the moment they learned their daughter had been killed. My knees were shaking. I mean, my whole body was shaking. That's when you lose all hope. You know, you have a little bit of hope, and then it smacks you that there is no hope, said Steve and Christy Gonsalves. In the 2-hour special, Kaylee's parents revealed she recently moved from King Street house and had only gone back to show her best friend her new car and attend a nearby party. More than 8 weeks later, their accused killer, Bryan Kohberger, was in a courtroom. His attorney asked for 6 months to gather evidence in an attempt to identify alternative suspects. Dr. Casey Jordan, the same one we just talked about, said that's their only defense, as she described the evidence laid out in probable cause documents as overwhelming. I'm expecting a really multi-layered defense that blames someone else, either another person or, get ready for it, an alter ego, Dr. Jordan said. She points out that argument won't fly in Idaho, one of the few states that doesn't accept a mental condition as a defense. She does, however, expect prosecutors to put capital punishment on the table for a possible plea deal. I wouldn't be surprised if they demand as part of that plea bargain that he articulates, in other words, owns the murders, and make him describe in very clear detail exactly what he did on the night of the crime, Dr. Jordan said. We won't see the accused in court for 6 months. Experts said his lack of emotion shown this week is consistent with someone who would commit an act like this. I think he loves the attention. If he starts talking, well, then the cameras go away. I think he will be a Stonewall, if you will, not talking, not confessing, not giving us any clues, pleading not guilty, demanding a trial to keep his name in the news. He maintains his innocence. He's currently being held without bail. So, and I thought that might explain a little more about Idaho laws, but regardless, you know, mental health is not a defense in the state of Idaho. Let me see what you guys have to say. Yes, Kaylee's family lives in Idaho. No innocent man is going to waive a speedy trial and set for 6 months before. I saw a lot of people saying that, JD. But I mean, what if his attorney says, I need this much time to come up with a good defense? Hey, Johnny, I pray this judge can handle this. Good evening, Spencer. I don't think he's insane. Okay, so they live an hour and a half from Moscow. Social Butterfly, you were at howling status. Woofy. We love her over here, so we love both you guys. Do you think that's him calling into those shows? Did you guys see that short video I posted? Because if not, I saw a lot of people comparing his voicemail to the call-in on T-Rev. But for me, the call-in on Ickidmail and his voicemail, because I compared all three in that short video, but the Ickidmail one to me sounds just like him. Okay, let's see. A. Charles, us locals know that the defense attorney is not as good as you all non-locals think she is, and she represented the KKK in the past, not respected. Wow. Thank you. Oh, thank you, LFT. The Gonsalves live 100 miles away from Moscow. And if he'd say, I want a speedy trial, we'd all be calling him a cocky asshole. That's true. You think it's him? Oh, you guys, don't forget, I do have emojis in there now, and I got a couple others. I'm going to put a Britney Spears emoji. So even back then, he knew he was damaged goods. Okay. I think everyone sounds like Bryan at this point. I've listened to so many things. I'm going to pull it up after this article for us to watch before I let you guys go. So this is the other one. It's the New York Post. Let's see. Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger had an incel complex. Now, I saved this just because I try to save really anything I see that's kind of interesting. But I wanted to talk to you guys about this incel thing. Now, we know that he was getting dates with women, but I think that an incel is not necessarily always you are not having sex at all. I think you could be involuntarily celibate with the girls you want to get, but you can only get certain girls. So maybe you have this anger inside of you for the really pretty girls, the really like Kaylee and Maddie and Xana too, you know? I don't know. I just think the incel, The incel complex argument is pretty interesting. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me see what this says. So, okay. The murders may have been an effort to assert some type of dominance. Former FBI agent and security expert Pete Yametz explained to the Post this week. Yametz believes the brutality of the crime and Kohberger's history of social challenges may offer some hints to his possible motive. I believe a continued stabbing of a victim indicates an uncontrollable rage and extreme anger, Yametz said, noting that Kohberger had been described as socially awkward with a long history of interpersonal problems. I think he may have developed a sort of incel complex, he surmised. The term incel, an abbreviation for involuntarily celibate, is generally used to refer to men who struggle to establish romantic or sexual relationships. The identity is occasionally linked to misogynistic online forums and, in extreme cases, crime. In 2021, self-professed incel Tresjenko, who busted for planning a mass shooting of 3,000 sorority sisters at an unnamed Ohio university. He pled guilty to the sick plot and is facing life in prison. Wow, so he was going after sorority girls too. Though it is not a proper psychological definition, Psychology Today noted last year that men who identify as incels often have poor mental health and experience feelings of victimhood, inferiority, and loneliness. Yametz's personal analysis of Kohberger echoed that of Dr. Carol Lieberman, a forensic psychiatrist who told Court TV last week that she believed that he fit the incel profile. I've been saying from the beginning that he is an incel, Lieberman said, explaining that she was largely convinced due to his alleged, quote, choice of victims, unquote, or decision to target mostly female college students. Lieberman was also intrigued by evidence which suggested Kohberger returned to the crime scene in the hours after the murders. Incels like to be known for when they kill people or when they have a conquest like this, she said. On the one hand, he wanted to commit the perfect crime and not be caught. But on the other hand, he did want to be caught and be proud in a sense of what he did. Oh my God, that picture of him, like his look on his face. Oh, I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. At the time of the murders, Kohberger was a doctoral student. Classmates described him as gregarious. Peers from his Pennsylvania hometown remembered him as a loner who was bullied for his weight before spiraling into drug addiction. Many people we've talked to said he was nice, though. I had someone on the show who knew him and knew his family that said the family was really nice and he was normal. They were shocked, and so we hear all kinds of, we have people that lived in his apartment complex that say he was so talkative and always wanted to be social and hang out and that kind of stuff. So I think we have a really broad variety of descriptions of his personality that we just don't actually know the truth. But I'm going to continue. So one alleged middle school crush of Kohberger's, Kim Kinley, reportedly even contacted the FBI about her experience with him. He would always say, "Oh, Kim, I think you're very pretty." Just like weird comments. And she'd say, "Oh my God, leave me alone." Kendra's mother, Sandra, told the Daily Mail. She did not give him the time of day. When kids are little, they're mean. They don't say, "Oh my God, thank you," but no. Another middle school classmate who asked to remain anonymous told the outlet that the popular cheerleaders tortured Kohberger. The whole clique of popular girls made fun of him in school. They were the cheerleaders and the ones that every kid had crushes on, they said. His adolescent social isolation was also reflected in posts he reportedly made to online forums. One entry that said he felt, quote, like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth, unquote. So that is interesting. Let's click this Daily Mail link just to see if that article comes up. And yes, it does. So if you're ever looking at a link and you can just click and usually they'll source exactly where they get it from. Don't ever let people give you information and believe it without a source. I've had questions about certain creators and, things like that. And I can tell you guys, just having been on here for a couple of years doing this, there are a lot of creators who will lie. They try to make things seem a certain way if it will get more attention and just be so careful of that. I mean, really. And oftentimes the people that you're watching, they have past history that you could probably look into and find out if they're trustworthy or not, on everybody. Even me, you got to look at everybody like that, because just to know if it's the truth. So, exclusive. Girls made fun of him in middle school. Former cheerleader who rejected Bryan advances in 6th grade is interviewed by FBI as classmates reveal how the chubby misfit was bullied and tortured by a popular clique. So there she is. Wow, she's beautiful. King Kinley contacted the Bureau shortly after learning her former classmate had been arrested for allegedly killing the 4 housemates. The two were 6th grade students at Pleasant Valley Intermediate School when he developed a crush and romantically began pursuing the girl who would go on to be a high school cheerleader. She told the FBI whatever she could tell them, Kinley's mother confirmed to the Daily Mail. It was so long ago, I couldn't imagine what she had to tell the FBI. I guess it was for character purpose. And then there they both are while they were in school at the time. And then there she is. Wow, the Daily Mail took photos of her down in Charlotte, North Carolina. She's an occupational therapist. Kohberger, then a chubby, awkward misfit, would become relentless in his pursuit, repeatedly leaving love letters in her locker and telling her he liked her, according to the mom. He would always say, "Oh, Kim, I think you're very pretty," just like weird comments. She did not give him the time of day. We read all of that. Let's see. Kinley would eventually tell Kohberger to buzz off, breaking his heart. At the time, she lived in Scioto, rural eastern Pennsylvania. She has since left the area and lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hold on just one sec, you guys. Sorry, trying to get the dog inside, and when he hears me, he don't want to go in. He wants to be over here with me. Okay. Kinley's awkward schoolyard encounters with Kohberger are among several bizarre accounts to emerge from former friends and witnesses. Former classmates have revealed he was heavyset, subject of bullying and cruel taunts. Ow. The whole clique of popular girls made fun of him. They were cheerleaders and the one that every kid had crushes on. Another classmate who doesn't want to be identified said they literally tortured him. Girls started making fun of him in middle school. He seemed to turn his life around in high school, where he took up boxing and lost weight. He was a totally different person. He worked out constantly and was super aggressive. He had a short fuse and was constantly trying to change his style and personality to fit in with cliques. A former classmate added, "It's interesting to me that the girls he's accused of killing were nice-looking and seemingly popular, much like the ones who made fun of him throughout his childhood." His theory backed that of former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, who, before Kohberger's arrest, had told Newsweek that she thought the killer could be an incel. Hold on. Did you guys get bath toys? Okay, I had to make sure Bentley's getting ready to take a bath. He's going to use one of the Lush bath bombs Nadie sent us, and he's so excited. So that is so interesting. He was picked on severely as a kid by the popular pretty girls. There she is, the girl that came forward to the FBI. Coffindaffer speculated that Kohberger could have seen all these beautiful girls go in and out of the house, and it's possible his rage and personal horrific desires had gotten the better of him. She postulated that the killer was an individual with absolutely horrible, murderous desires against these women, a femicide-type case, and it came to a boiling point combined with an opportunity. Casey Arntz, who attended high school, said he used to get her to drive him around his home area in search of drugs. Her brother said he would bully others to distract from his own weight problem. He was mean-spirited. He was a bully. I never thought he would do something like that, but at the same time, it doesn't really surprise me. And then they talk about Haley, the Tinder date, which we have talked about quite a lot here. She proceeded to ask him why he was touching her, which caused him to get super serious, she said. I'm not, he then said, according to her. You are, though, she recalls retorting, saying that Kohberger was attempting to gaslight me into thinking that he didn't touch me, which is weird. She clarified she did not feel in danger and wasn't scared of him, but didn't, and that's when she pretended to get sick and stayed in the bathroom. Let's see. It's just so crazy. I mean, that he was arrested all the way, across the country. Ugh. Certainly, Kim Kinley's mother is happy the alleged murderer did not turn her daughter's head when they were both so young. All those girls he allegedly murdered were blonde too, Sandra noted. She's definitely creeped out. Definitely. I think a lot of the kids that went to school with him are all like that, the mom continued. They can't believe that this kid could actually murder 4 people. So, wow. It's crazy how many people have come forward to talk about this guy and his behavior and his past and stuff like that. I'm not surprised because the case is just so huge. This Tinder date recount seems far-fetched. See, I believed her because this is my number one reason. She did not initially come out publicly. Initially, she came out on a comment under a post and commented about her date with him. And after that was picked up by mainstream media and they kept showing her comments and stuff, then she came forward on her channel. The thing is, the Tinder alleged date reminds me of the fake Chris Watts date. I mean, it could be. I could be totally wrong. But initially, I just suspected that she was being honest because of the way that she came out, Thank you, Lori, for sharing CDT. So, okay. I want to share this link with you guys. I'm going to let you guys go. I was actually going to play my video from last night, but you guys, if you get the time, go watch it. It's only 6 minutes long. Sorry, I had to get the link to another video. The video is like 6 minutes long, and it's comparing all 3 of the voice clips. The Ick and Mel one, which has kind of been left out and not compared as much, and I got to know what you guys think about that. So if you have time, definitely go check out that video. It's my last video under lives, but it wasn't a live. It just is under that because it was from StreamYard. And then this is my friend Leave It to Bieber, her video from last night. She talks about a couple other cases, and then she goes on to Idaho 4. She really does defend Dylan in a situation from YouTube. It's very interesting. If you guys haven't seen it or, want something to watch, go check that out. And then I'm just going to chat with y'all for a second and then let you go. So she invites him in for Netflix and chill, and then 2 movies later pretends to be sick. Keyword pretends. I don't know. Kaylee and Ethan were not supposed to be there. So what if he was going after Maddie and Xana? My theory is Maddie was the target, but I don't know for sure. I have a question for you guys before we go. If you think there is another accomplice, put a 1 in the chat if you think there's another person, or put a 2 if you definitely don't. I definitely don't, but I'm curious because I've seen quite a lot of people talking about that. Right, they did go out for the movie, PJ. Wow, Nikki and Mr. Centennial. I think Mad Greek workers were target. Marie thinks that there is an accomplice. Oh, West Virginia Holler Girl. I just think the time is wrong. Why? Because it's such a short amount of time. 1.5. I kind of do. Wait. But I change my mind a lot, so just ignore me. I'm the same way. My theories change. My mind changes. That's just... DMC thinks there is. Did he kill before? I don't know. I thought so at first, but now I don't. I want to know if the red Jeep was there during the crime, or did Hunter drive it over that morning when summoned? Ooh, I would like to know that too. Well, after that article that you found, now we know, there was a group at which we had heard from the chief of police when there's an interview he does talking about that day and how emotional it was, and that there was like a group of kids beginning to gather around asking who was in there and stuff like that. And now, because of that article, we know they were gathering at the front, which was something I was curious about. Oh, thank you, Chowder. Thank you. That's so sweet. I appreciate that. I think he hurt animals. I hope not, though. I think there are several people who know what happened and are terrified to come forward. Chowder, that was very sweet. I appreciate that so much. The Jeep was there, says Liza. Just because I don't believe Bryan did the slaying doesn't mean I don't think he's sick. 50-50. Hey, Tracy. Dr. Phil thinks he did the dog skinning. Huh. Do you think them removing items while a crime scene? I have thought about this. I don't know. I think it's going to give the defense a point to argue because they did start the cleanup just briefly before they shut it down. And we know that some of their items, I heard some of Ethan's stuff had been kept, but some of, the girls' stuff had been given back. Oh, Wolfie. Hold on. I can't see it. I see it there at the top, but thank you. That's really sweet. Thank you so much. I still wonder if Bryan had gotten his hands on surgical booties since he has surgical gloves, so he wouldn't track blood out, but it's really getting on my nerves. I can't figure it out. So there was a box removed from the house of booties, right? But Kelly said there was also a box of those at the other house. So there was a box removed at his apartment, but they also had the same box at 1122 King. So that makes me think that that was the police, but I don't know for sure. I thought that I had the video of the kids like dancing and stuff. It was such a sweet, So that really sucks. I'm sorry. I wanted to show that to you guys, but if I find it, I'll share it with you. You can see like Ethan dancing and Xana dancing. It's just, I don't know. You can tell Ethan was so much fun. He seems like somebody that would just, I don't know. He's a strict vegan. No way did he skin the dogs, but think he did have a leather sheath and a leather handle on his knife. Hey, Jay. I'm a drunk pimp. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go. It's Sunday night. I hope you guys have a great night. I'll continue to see Peyton. I'll continue to see what I can find and share it with you guys. If I can find that video, it was in a Facebook group, so it's not like a video I can share on my community page, but it's something that I would just love you guys to see. So I'll be looking for that. Love you, Nate. Good night, Seth. Good night, you guys. I hope you guys all have a great night. I'm going to go eat dinner, go give my baby a bath with one of those bath bombs, and go relax for a little bit. And I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. And there's going to be some Summer Wells stuff coming soon. And I don't care if only 50 people come. I am so damn excited that her name is getting back out there a little bit, even if it's because of stupid YouTube drama. Because you know what? At the end of the day, that baby is all that matters. And just because she's not the popular topic anymore, all these people who used to care so much about her just move on. Well, I cannot move on. So I am just so excited for that. Yes. So I'll continue gathering stuff on that. Don's active on Facebook. He's also been on YouTube, cussing people out, all kinds of stuff. And I can't wait to show you all of that. Okay. I love you guys, and I hope you have the best night ever. And I will get to my messages. I have a lot. I'm going to go eat dinner and stuff first, but I will get to them. I love you guys. Hope you have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye. Yes. Lock your doors and your windows. Bye, guys.